From my first moment with the title, I was enraptured by its presentation, heavily evoking Pixar's Toy Story. This game is a recreation of the human world from the perspective of a child's toy. The game is a wave based mission that takes place in a familiar location from a bathroom to a bedroom to a toy store and everywhere in between. Seeing the world through the lens of an action figure produces an interesting scale shift, especially in the context of warfare, as household objects suddenly becomes a pieces of cover to use defensively or vantage points to leverage as you mow down waves of incoming opponents. The subversion of the perspective is inherently novel, and I found myself constantly fascinated by the way in which digital cyber cherries repurpose staple real world objects as a functional battlefield elements. Beyond the overall concept of the presentation, the level of detail helps hypercharge aesthetics and makes the world even more alive. Hypercharge Unboxed is a tower defense game that infuses first-person shooter co-op gameplay. The fight are split into two phases, the build phase and the combat phase. Points can be spent on the creation of defenses. When the combat phase rolls out, you would be doing everything in your power to hold the line against the enemies that comes with increasing number and variety as the wave progresses. So, foresight in the building phase makes all the difference. I found some minor issues such as occasional glitchy enemy or graphical hiccup, but largely the game looked awesome and ran very smoothly. But some decisions did draw my frustration though. Firstly, placing traps and defenses is only possible on designated spaces on the map, and the lion's share of this are directly around the cores you have to defend. For those who enjoy fighting alone, Rambo style, the game can be played in single player. But those who looking to squad up cannot only play the game locally with friends but online too. This flexibility in design is matched by flexibility in options and rules as well, as there are lot of settings to tweak and alternate control schemes to mess around with, including gyro aiming, which ought to be a staple of the game. So as a fact, enemies will come at the player from many different entry points, which certainly ups the challenge, but also ups the frustration in proportion, particularly in single player. This is due to lack of permanent minimap that shows where attacks are coming from, and this can lead to many moments of annoyance as defense can be broken and cores can be damaged. The player has the time to react where the threat is coming from. Of course, this issue is mitigated to an extent by playing in multiplayer and having everyone keep an eye on the core, which speaks to the another game's strength. So unlockables are gated behind rank and medal based achievement. So that means the player has to score high enough to unlock new location and defenses. Also, it does offer a great incentive to improve and become further proficient with the game's mechanic. On the other hand, though it does artificially slow down progression, and I found myself having to replay earlier maps over and over just to see the next location that the game had to offer. Parceling out maps more organically, simply as completion, reward, and locking weapon or aesthetic customization behind ranked proficiency would have made progression more satisfying, while still rewarding the player for being skilled at the game. Hypercharge Unboxed is certainly one of the most robust and polished shooters on Steam, boasting a well-realized aesthetic and tactile solid mechanic. I see this being a game that develops a healthy online community. Two of its maps are labeled as coming soon. To buy this game, you don't need a high-end PC as well. This is a fantastic addition to the library and a title that I can easily recommend to the fans of this genre.